Hello and welcome back. Thanks for joining. My name is Berit and today it's time for the very first reading wrap-up of this year for January and February. I read 4 books in the last 2 months and I made videos about 3 of the 4 books. So I don't have too much to say here because I talk about most of what I read more in detail in separate videos. I have been in kind of a reading slump in the last 2 months. I haven't felt very much like reading, so I didn't read very much. Yeah, but you know, all this might change during March. You never know. So yeah, we're just gonna start with the first book I read this year, which was Roadside Picnic by Arkady and Boris Strugatsky. This is a Russian science fiction novel from the 1970s and it's been adapted into a film called Stalker. Which was and is very popular. I recommend watching it because it's a really cool film. So yeah, this novel takes place after an alien visit has happened on Earth, and now there are several so-called zones on Earth, which are the areas where the aliens have been, and they kind of left stuff everywhere in these areas, and some of the objects that they left are kind of dangerous, very strange. People don't really know what they are and what they can do. And we follow Red Shoeheart, who is a so-called stalker. That means that his job is to go into the zones and he kind of retrieves objects from there. He hunts down objects and brings them back to the city. And he sells them on the black market as well as to the Institute. And the Institute is an institution that examines the zone and tries to find out more about what happened there and the consequences that this alien visit has for people on Earth. So yeah, this novel is really atmospheric. It is kind of a bit weird, but in a good way. There's not too much going on in the novel. I kind of expected a bit more plot, basically, but you get to know the zone and the people who live in the town that is near the zone and what the alien visit has done to the place and to the environment and to the people and how they deal with the consequences of that alien visit and stuff like that. And that was super cool to read. As I said, the book is really atmospheric. I recommend reading it if you like science fiction. Yeah, but if you like science fiction, chances are that you've actually read it because I think it's a very popular book for science fiction readers. But if you haven't, go ahead and read it. It's really good, and also go ahead and watch the film because it's also very interesting and it's very different from the book. So that's also kind of cool that you don't spoil the book for yourself if you know the film, and you also don't spoil the film for yourself if you know the book. So yeah, after that I went into a very different genre which I don't often read, and I went ahead and read The Lady's Tutor by Robin Schoner, which I have in this super romantic, kitschy, pink German edition, which I kind of love. Yeah, this is basically a porn, and it takes place in London in the Victorian era. We follow Elizabeth Peter, a woman who is kind of unhappily married to Edward Peter, and he's supposed to be like the future Prime Minister of England. Elizabeth thinks that Edward has an affair with another woman, so she wants to learn how to seduce and pleasure her husband, basically, so that he will end his affair so that they can have, like, you know, a happier marriage. And she goes to this guy, Ramiel, who is known as the Bastard Sheikh, and she blackmails him into teaching her how to pleasure a man. You might think that you know what happens as, you know, the events unfold. And believe me, everything that you think happens and more. But I also want to stress that this book actually has a surprising amount of plot. It is super complicated. There is a lot going on here, which I cannot unpack in this wrap-up. This book was actually a reread for me. I had forgotten a lot of what happens in the book. I gotta say, it was a fun time. It was also kind of a scary time, I'm gonna be honest. And this book has almost 500 pages in the German version, so yeah, it was longer than I remembered in more than one way. But yeah, anyway, book number 2. Book number 3 was Out of the Silent Planet by C.S. Lewis. I also made a video about that one. The sole reason why I read this book was a song by Iron Maiden that I really like. And yeah, this is also a science fiction novel. It's from 1938. And it's about this guy, Ransom, who is kidnapped to another planet. And then he kind of gets to know the beings that live on the planet. He gets to know the planet's history a bit. This is a very fairy tale-like novel. It feels really old-timey, which was kind of nice, kind of cozy. And yeah, what can I say? I had a nice time with that one. And then the last book that I finished in February was The Royal Game by Stefan Zweig. This is a very short novella, which I would also absolutely recommend to read. It is very good. In this novella, it's from the early 1940s. A nameless first-person narrator is on a ship that goes from New York to Buenos Aires, and he learns that a chess champion is also on this ship, so he tries to lure him into playing a game with him, which he eventually manages together with several other people. And during this game, they get help from a kind of strange, kind of shy guy in the background who seems to know all the moves on the chessboard before they are being made. And the first-person narrator later tries to convince this guy to play another game directly against this champion, and he gets to know the life story of this, well, strange guy. I forgot his name. He has a name like Dr. B or something. So yeah, in this story, this guy talks about how he was incarcerated by the National Socialists in Austria and how a book with famous chess games helped him to not go crazy in isolation. This book is very short. It has like 60 pages or something, so you can read it in one go if you want to. I absolutely recommend it. It is beautifully written, and it is a quite known work. It was Stefan Zweig's last work that he published before he committed suicide. I wanted to read it for quite a while. My brother recommended it to me, and I'm very thankful for that because it was very interesting, and I'm glad that I read it. But yeah, that was the last book that I technically finished in February. I also started to read another manga series, and I finished the first 2 volumes now. And that series is Platinum End. It is by Takeshi Obata and Tsugumi Oba. Those are the same guys who also made Death Note. I think I'm liking it so far. I haven't quite made up my mind yet. It is very different from Death Note. It's also a lot more explicit than Death Note, and that surprised me, gotta say. This is about a teenager who kind of doesn't have a will to live. He's kind of depressive and wants to kill himself in the beginning, and he is rescued by an angel, and he's given certain powers by this angel, and he learns that he is now a candidate to become the next god, basically, together with, I think, 12 other people. So yeah, I expect that we follow him through this journey. I also expect that he will be the next god, either that or he will be one of the last candidates because he's the protagonist. So I'm guessing he will be around for a while. And yeah, I'm excited to see how things turn out in this one. I'm guessing it will take me a while to read it, so that's why I wanted to mention it now. Also, I want to mention that this manga literally sparkles when you look at it. I don't know if you can see it in the camera. I hope that you can, because that was another big surprise when I opened the package and took out the manga, and I was like, this sparkles. I don't know what to do with that. So yeah, that is all that I have for this first wrap up. If you have any recommendations for books that I could read during spring or generally during this year, please let me know. I am reading several things simultaneously at the moment, but as I said, I've been in kind of a reading slump, so yeah, I haven't been reading a lot lately, but I also feel like it's taking a lot of my mental capacity to just keep my shit together when I open the news. So yeah, we'll see if I will feel like reading more. So yeah, let me know what you think. I hope that you enjoyed this video, and maybe I'll see you in the next one. Bye.